Great start to the season for Chris Olave, the outstanding Ohio State wide receiver. Big Ten high 7 TD grabs, now 29 in his career. That is the third most ever in Columbus. Has passed Chris Carter and Santonio Holmes. David Boston's all-time mark, very much within reach. And Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave, our big interview today. He joins us now. And Chris, let's start here. The bye week is typically a time when teams get better. You have a team that is leading the Power 5 in yards per play, and frankly, it's not even that close. So I think maybe your opponents are shuddering at the notion of you getting better. But what did you guys work on in the bye?
During the bye week, we kind of had a lot of rest. It's kind of been a hectic year, especially last year with COVID. So we had a lot of days off, but we kind of got better. We practiced 3 days, and we used them 3 days actively, and we got better through those 3 days. So
on Saturday, when you have a day off, did you sit around and watch football and check out other teams in the Big Ten, or what did you do with your downtime?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm a huge college football fan, so we finally got a Saturday off, so I use it to just sit down and watch college football and just rest and chill with some of my teammates and some of my friends. So I definitely watched college football on Saturday, and it was fun. So,
any games that particularly stood out to you that you watched where it opened your eyes in any way?
I watched that Georgia Kentucky game, Iowa and Penn State. There was a lot of good games on Saturday.
Yeah.
Especially last Saturday. So finally got to sit back and relax, not have a game, enjoy the bye week, and get some rest, and I enjoyed it.
This wide receiver room you guys have at Ohio State is crazy good. I mean, obviously yourself, Garrett Wilson, Smith and Jigba's had a nice year. You've got all these five-star younger guys as well. To what extent does the fact that this group is so good motivate you and kind of have you competing to a certain extent against one another?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all competitors. We all come to Ohio State to compete. So just to have that talent surrounded by each other in the receiver room is huge. Seeing each other make plays, being happy for each other, but just competing at the end of the day. Seeing each other make plays makes us want to make a play. And just being surrounded by all that talent makes us overall better. So,
where have you seen the biggest growth in your quarterback, C.J. Stroud?
He's got a lot more comfortable back there throughout the season. He's got a lot more experience, having playing in 6 games. So just getting back there, building that chemistry, getting comfortable, and getting a game-like experience is huge for him. So I feel like he's comfortable back there now, and he's ready to take off. So
it's funny, as I dive into your background, you're from Southern California. And you essentially ended up, I would say, at Ohio State in some ways as an accident. They certainly did not set out to recruit you initially. So give people a sense, for those who don't know the story, of what happened the first time you met Ryan Day.
He actually came to my school for my quarterback. My quarterback was a big-time recruit. I think he was a 4 or 5-star recruit. It was my junior year. Probably in the spring. He came to come visit him and come check him out, come see him throw. So I got pulled out of one of my classes to go catch for my quarterback. I wasn't even running routes or anything. I was just standing there. We was playing catch, throwing the football back and forth. And then Coach Day asked me a couple questions, asked my high school coach a couple questions, and he told me to come out to a camp, and he was going to stay in touch. Because he liked the way I caught the ball. So that's pretty much the story. And we stayed in touch after that. And when my midseason highlights came out my senior year, he called me and offered me a scholarship. So that was huge, and it's truly a blessing.
Right. So what's really amazing to me, there's a couple parts of that story I want to unpack a little bit. The first one is that you didn't run any routes. But then the second one is you were not eligible to play at that time, right, because of a transfer. So you were essentially a scout team player that year. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. After my sophomore year, I transferred schools. about an hour away from my old school to my new school. So I was ineligible for football that whole year. I didn't play my junior year of high school for football. So I just worked on scout team and try to get my teammates better and my team better my junior year. But I was able to play basketball and run track. And I guess he liked my film on track or on basketball. And he saw my track numbers, and we stayed in touch. And then after my senior year midseason highlights came out, like I said, he extended the offer, and that's how it happened.
What was that year like where you had to sit out and weren't eligible to play?
It was terrible. I mean, it was terrible. My brother was a senior, so he didn't get to play his senior year of football. It was tough, and I felt his pain. So when I went out my senior year in high school, I was really playing for him, and because he lost his senior year, and I felt his pain through his eyes and his body language. So I wanted to go out there and ball out for him.
It's interesting. I was looking through your recruiting profiles a little bit as I prepared to talk to you. And look, you had some really good offers. I mean, kind of this notion that you were a totally under-the-radar player is just not accurate. However, compared to a typical profile of an Ohio State recruit, I mean, when I go through that recruiting class, you were one of the lower-rated guys in that class. And I assume you were acutely aware of that. So to what extent, when you got to Columbus, did you feel like you had to prove yourself?
I never thought I had to prove myself coming here. I know I had the ability, but I came here, I was kind of, I had no family out here or anything, so I was kind of lonely. But I just wanted to work hard, stay down, and try to get on the field somehow and just learn from the older guys. And that's what I did when I got here. I just stayed down. I got here in the summer of 2018, so I just went to work and got in the weight room and got on the field with all the guys and just try to contribute to the team as much as I can. And that's what I did early on in the year.
You did, and of course a lot of it was special teams, but then really emerged in that Michigan game, catching a couple touchdown passes, blocking a punt. What do you think about when you think about that game?
It's huge. I mean, I remember that game forever. That was the first time my family made it out to a game. My whole family was there. Huge rivalry, probably the biggest rivalry in sports. And just to break out in that game was huge. I wasn't expecting that at all. But I just stayed down and played my role throughout the whole year. And the blessings came in the end. And that's huge, and I was proud of that.
As well you should be. And it was really a launching pad for you in what's become a tremendous career that people are well aware of, a preseason All-American for the Buckeyes. What prompted you to come back this year? Because certainly you would have been drafted into the NFL had you chosen to go that route.
I had a lot of things I wanted to work on, a lot of things in my game, but most importantly, I wanted to get my degree before I went to the NFL. So that's something my parents raised me and my two brothers on. It was school. School was always first. So I wanted to get my degree, and I felt like I had a couple weaknesses I wanted to work on and turn those into strengths and make my strengths even better. So I feel like I did that this offseason and just wanted to show throughout the year.
What are those weaknesses, or what were those weaknesses? Maybe it's past tense.
I wanted to get better in the blocking game, get my strength up a little bit in the weight room, and just play faster and play better and work on my yards after catch.
You were talking about your recruitment, and your quarterback was a 4- or 5-star guy. That quarterback, of course, for those who don't know, was and is Jack Tuttle, who is expected to be the starting quarterback for Indiana this week. And I know Jack is one of your closest friends as well. Describe the relationship that the two of you have.
Oh, man, that's my guy. I can't really explain it. I mean, when I transferred to my second high school, he was the guy that took me in, took me and my family in. His family took my family in and showed us the way. He always had my back, so I always got his, and I love that guy, and I wish him the best.
How strange is it to see him on the opposing sideline?
It's definitely different, but I feel like we played a couple years. We played him last year. We played him 2 years ago at Indiana. So just to see him as a starting quarterback finally, his work ethic is off the charts. He's worked so hard to be in his position, and I can't wait to see him play.
Last thing I want to ask you before I let you go, their defense has played really well this year. What are the particular challenges that group presents?
Indiana played as well last year. They're playing really well this year. They played a lot of good teams, a lot of top 10 teams. So they have experience this year. They have a lot of athletes. They're fast, physical. But it's going to be a challenge, especially playing there at 7:30, night game, prime time. So they're going to bring that energy. It's going to be rocking. So it's going to be a lot to go in there and beat them, and we got to be prepared to face a great team.
Well, Chris Olave, congratulations on all your success to this point. Really appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with us here, and best of luck on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Huge matchups on the ice in women's hockey this weekend. Defending national champ #1 ranked Wisconsin will host #2 Ohio State. Both come in undefeated, as you can see. You can see the Saturday game on Big Ten Plus, Sunday's game right here on the Big Ten Network. Puck drops on that one at 4 Eastern Time. It is a Badgers team that boasts several of the top players in the country, including Darryl Watts, star forward, who joins us now. And Darryl, let's start here. 47-6, you have outscored your opponents to this point in the season. What has impressed you the most about your team?
I think our compete level has been really impressive throughout this point of the season. Last weekend was a really good test for us. We played Minnesota Duluth, which is our first ranked opponent of the year, and we came out with 2 wins. After a tough weekend, we were in Duluth, so that made it even harder, and they always give us a really good weekend of games. So just to this point, really impressed with the way we've been playing. We've got a bunch of new players, and they're doing incredible. So really looking forward to this upcoming weekend against Ohio, because it will be such a great weekend, #1 versus #2. Yeah.
Doesn't get much better than that. As for you personally, so you've led the nation in goals 2 of the last 4 years. To this point this year, you are 3rd on your own team. So what does that say about the firepower on this Wisconsin team this year?
Yeah, the firepower is incredible. Casey O'Brien, Mac Webster, Sarah, Waz, Sophie Shirley. There's so many incredible players that can score, which is something, and I've said this before, it's really rare in women's hockey to have players that have the scoring touch. So I'm just so thrilled to be on a team where so many players can score. I know my line mates, Casey and Mac, they're doing incredible this season. I'm so happy to watch them thrive, and it's been fun to watch.
And then in the net, Kennedy Blair's been fantastic, leading the nation in shutouts. How have you seen her elevate her game?
Yeah, she's been incredible this season. There's so many players that have been incredible this season, but especially Kennedy Blair. She's kind of the foundation of our team, and we rely on her. And sometimes, like last weekend, we left her out to dry a few times, but she's always got our back. And, you know, she said, I think it was last week, that she feels more comfortable in net this year, this being her 2nd year at the university. With that being said, I think her game is elevated this year, and I just can't wait for the end of the season to compete in elimination playoffs games and, you know, see how well we can do, because last year was so much fun.
Well, last year was fun. You won a national championship. I noticed that you are wearing your national championship ring, so show that to us if you would. Now, do you normally just kind of...
I'm not going to give you the finger, but...
Do you normally casually wear that around campus, or was that special for the occasion?
To be honest, after we got it, I was wearing it just casually around, like wearing it to class, wearing it to Chipotle to get food. I love it. I love it so much. It's hard to take off, but yeah, in the past week I haven't really worn it around that much, but
So take us back to that moment. You scored the national championship winning goal in overtime last year against Northeastern. What do you think about when you think about that moment?
That was definitely one of the best moments of my life. To be able to score such an important goal and bring a national championship home. It was just so thrilling and so exciting. And I think I blacked out after the goal because, just the rush of emotions was so overwhelming. But to be able to celebrate with all my teammates, with all the staff, I've said this before, I'm so grateful, and I feel so lucky to be a Badger and be coached by Mark Johnson, Jackie, and Dan. There's nothing I want more than to win another national championship this year. And, last year was a COVID year, so the circumstances were a little bit different about, when we got home and celebrating this year with fans back. We're doing everything we can to compete for another national title.
It's interesting you talk about how great it is to be a Badger. You, of course, did not start your career at Wisconsin. You began at Boston College. You won the Patty Kazmaier Award as a freshman for the best player in the country. What prompted you to transfer to Wisconsin after your sophomore year?
Yeah, that's a great question. I found that I had lost my love for hockey my sophomore year at Boston College. So I went through a pretty difficult year mentally, and my performance was really subpar that year as well. And I just felt that in order to compete for a national title and be the best player that I could possibly be, and find my love and my joy coming to the rink every day, I needed a change, and that led me to Wisconsin. And it couldn't be a better fit, and I couldn't imagine a better place to be a woman playing women's hockey in college.
You grew up in Toronto. You were in a hockey-mad family. I know you began skating at age 2. I'm guessing you don't remember that because none of us remember being 2. But what's your earliest hockey memory?
I would have to say my brother's 2 years older than me. His name's Jackson. And I played on his house league team. So I have some faint memories I was on the worst line. It was called the white line, and he was on the blue line, and the best players were on the blue line, the not so good players were on the white line. And I remember for one shift the coach said, "Okay, Darryl, you're going to go out on the blue line." And the second I stepped on the ice, I got run over by this older boy, and then I started crying, and my dad picked me up and put me back on the bench. So maybe that's my earliest memory.
And how old were you at this point, do you think?
Oh, got maybe 3 or 4.
Wow. And yet you persevered. And I know you have another national championship in your sights, and you got Ohio State this weekend, and they have been fabulous defensively. I mean, they played 6 games. They've allowed 5 goals. So tell me about the challenge of going up against the Buckeyes.
Yes, we do not like the Buckeyes. I have no reason not to say that. We don't like the Buckeyes. So, playing them, they're always really, really intense games. I think they're always, within a couple goals. So they're playing us in LeBron this weekend. It's going to be, the best games, of this half of the season. We couldn't be more excited. We couldn't be more fired up to play them and hopefully send them home with 2 losses.
Now, when you say you don't like them, what has fueled that dislike?
Good question. I could say, they're fun to play against, but for a couple of reasons, they're not fun to play against just because of a few reasons that I'm not going to say. But over the past, last season, we beat them in the WCHA final tournament game. We beat them in the Final Four game to advance to the national championship game. The previous season, they beat us in the WCHA final game. So we've built up such a rivalry, and we've consistently over the past 2 seasons been, the top 3, top 2 teams in the country, really. So naturally, there's just such an intense rivalry between two great teams.
So you sense it's a mutual dislike?
Yes, definitely.
Well, Darryl, we look forward to seeing you on the ice this weekend, again, including that game coming up on the Big Ten Network on Sunday. Should be a ton of fun. Darryl Watts, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on all of your success, and best of luck going forward here.
Thank you so much for having me.